Hello, I'm Achyut Nair from Nair's Aviation Ground School. This is the 24th video in a new series of educational aviation videos for the aspiring pilot. Airplanes operate in the sky. This much is certain. But did you know that the sky, known in the aviation field as airspace, divides the sky into several different segments with rules and operating conditions for each one? This video is about airspace. Airspace is the portion of the atmosphere controlled by a country above its territory, including its territorial waters, or more generally, any specific three-dimensional portion of the atmosphere. A nation's airspace can be split into controlled and uncontrolled airspace. Airspace may be further subdivided into a variety of areas and zones, including those where there are either restrictions on flying activities or complete prohibition of flying activities. Controlled airspace is a generic term that covers the different classifications of airspace and defined dimensions within which air traffic control, or ATC, service is provided in accordance with the airspace classification. Controlled airspace consists of Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, and Class E airspace. The limitations for these specific classes can vary from country to country, as some of these classes might not even be used at all. In the United States, Classes A, B, C, D, and E are used for controlled airspace. Class A airspace is generally the airspace from 18,000 feet mean sea level up to and including flight level 600, which translates to 60,000 feet, including the airspace overlying the waters within the 12 nautical miles of the coast of the 48 contiguous states and Alaska. Unless otherwise authorized, all operation in Class A airspace is conducted under Instrument Flight Rules, or IFR. Class B airspace is generally airspace from the surface to 10,000 feet MSL, surrounding the nation's busiest airports in terms of airport operations or passenger enplanements. The configuration of each Class B airspace area is individually tailored, consists of a surface area and two or more layers. Some Class B airspace resemble upside-down wedding cakes, and is designed to contain all published instrument procedures once an aircraft enters the airspace. An ATC clearance is required for all aircraft to operate in the area, and all aircraft that are so cleared receive separation services from other aircraft within the airspace. Class C airspace is generally airspace from the surface to 4,000 feet above the airport elevation, surrounding those airports that have an operational control tower, are serviced by a radar approach control, and have a certain number of IFR operations or passenger enplanements. Although the configuration of each Class C airspace is individually tailored, the airspace usually consists of a surface area of about 5 nautical mile radius, an outer circle of a 10 nautical mile radius that extends from 1,200 feet to 4,000 feet above the airport elevation, and an outer area. Each aircraft must establish two-way radio communications with the ATC facility providing air traffic services prior to entering the airspace, and thereafter maintain those communications while within the airspace. Class D airspace is generally airspace from the surface to 2,500 feet above the airport elevation, surrounding those airports that have an operational control tower. The configuration of each Class D airspace area is individually tailored, and when instrument procedures are published, the airspace is normally designed to contain the procedures. Arrival extensions for instrument approach procedures may be Class D or Class E airspace. Unless otherwise authorized, each aircraft must establish two-way radio communications with the air traffic control facility providing air traffic services prior to entering the airspace, and thereafter maintain those communications while in the airspace. If the airspace is not Class A, B, C, or D and is controlled, then it is Class E airspace. Class E airspace extends upward from either the surface or a designated altitude to the overlying or adjacent controlled airspace. Uncontrolled airspace, or Class G airspace, is a portion of the airspace that has not been designated as Classes A, B, C, D, or E. It is therefore designated uncontrolled airspace. Class G airspace extends from the surface to the base of the overlying Class E airspace. Although ATC has no authority or responsibility to control air traffic in Class G airspace, pilots should remember there are visual flight rule minimums which apply to Class G airspace. In addition to the classes of controlled and uncontrolled airspace, there are some other airspace segments that have different limitations and requirements. These segments are collectively termed special use airspace. Special use airspace, or special area of operation, is a designation for airspace in which certain activities must be confined or where limitations may be imposed on aircraft operations that are not part of those activities. Certain special use airspace areas can create limitations on the mixed use of airspace. The special use airspace depicted on instrument charts includes the area name or number, effective altitude, time, and weather conditions of operation, and the controlling agency and the location on the chart panel. Special use airspace can include restricted areas, prohibited areas, warnings, military operation areas, controlled firing areas, and among others. These classes of airspace are valid only in the United States. In other countries, different limitations are associated with the classes. The airspace in a few different nations are as follows. Airspace is a major aspect of aviation. It is not an area of aviation well known to the general public, but airspace plays an important part in determining the route of flight of an aircraft, as well as providing safety and security in the form of air traffic control guidance in controlled airspace. Each segment or class of airspace has its own limitations and requirements, and the student pilot needs to be well aware of these requirements of the class of airspace they will be operating in. For more information, please contact us at liftanddrag@gmail.com and visit our website at nyersaviation.webnode.com. Thank you, safe flying,